you're growing breakneck geographically, program-wise, and the content-wise, you have no challenges there because we can use all the entrepreneurs that we can get. So it's not such an issue for someone like Agastya because we have huge opportunities for people to take and run themselves completely. And therefore, it's not such an issue. Okay, there might be an element of competition as to who did better, all of that, and then that, in fact, is somewhat positive. And therefore, working around that is not such a problem. It could be an issue if multiple entrepreneurial potential candidates are gunning for the same thing. That could be an issue, but fortunately, we have not come across that, and therefore, we are in the clear in that.
If you can identify in one word the one standing out characteristic of each, and then make it a slogan for all. So then they are labeled with that. He is Mr. Trainer, he is a Mr. Researcher, or he is a... So you know that these people excel in one, maybe mediocre in the others, but they are never subordinated to anybody. They are excellent in one, so they are leaders in one characteristic or one strength. So if you can create multiple identities of leaders and strengths, which are identified not by a boss, but by everybody. Everybody recognizes that. So it's a whole organizational recognition they get, and this percolates down to the whole society where they are working. I think that will also leverage their strengths and can coexist multiple career growths.
Let me take this question in different way. Not managing the multiple entrepreneur, even the single entrepreneur managing is a slightly different ball game. Because you trust them, so you are tender to them. But at the same time, you are running the organization, so you have to be harder also. So it's a very, very kind of always a very mixed balance and always a very tactful skill that how soft you can be, how hard you can be. And the really fun is in that when you have to be both. That's where dealing with the because you trust them, you feel about them, and somehow they're part of you and you are part of them. So there is lots of attachment value to the whole chemistry. But at the same time, there's a target to achieve, there's a certain task to perform, there's certain accountability to kind of demonstrate it. So how you translate all those things is always a subjective call. But how you same time you mix this tender plus hardness, like it's like maybe some coconut kind of thing. That's a very, very critical. Second thing, maintaining entrepreneur is like you have to be with them. Several times there's some known unknown mistake happen, but you cannot be a boss and say, oh, it's because of you, this, etc., etc. Somehow we have to together and shield it, even if I haven't done it, but that's fall in my lap. And you then, for external, you face it. So there are certain characteristic how to manage entrepreneur. Like we can go in detail after this session, but there are lots of slightly different characteristic inside the managing. Either is a one or multiple traits. Traits are there.
And I think second point what he said was, if you are not just manager recognizing it, not just the entrepreneur recognizing it, give support so that peer also start recognizing it, whole organization recognizes it. Otherwise it becomes a label and title. So you have to give them the opportunity, support, even kind of experience, so that whole organization recognition happens. As Naveen said, it's tough. You have to be trust them, but at least be accountable for the results. So what I have learned, I think based on the lot of discussion here and earlier is, involve them in goal setting for themselves, prompt them, nudge them to set the goals which are aggressive, own the goals, and then be accountable for. So you have a certain process to review the goals at periodic time, so that you can review the goals and they have to perform the results. How they do it, leave that freedom to them. And last one, I think is very, very important. What he said is, this is very good philosophy, called Windows philosophy, which Naveen talked about, was, and he used to say, whenever there is a recognition coming from outside, whenever praise coming from outside, it is, no, these are the entrepreneurs doing it. Whenever there is a problem, a failure, the leader used to say, look in the mirror, take the responsibility yourself. So pass the success to the entrepreneurs for the external point of view, and take the failure as you as a leader from external facing point of view, so that they get shielded and they are ready to take extra responsibility, extra risk to make the organization successful.
Definitely, if it is very cost effective, it doesn't involve very high budgets in implementing that, definitely I'll take a call and I'll go ahead and I'll show the results. But if it's very very high budgets are involved and all these things, definitely I need to communicate with the top management, take approvals, whatever the things are required, then I need to go ahead. Because like financially, definitely I feel like entrepreneurs, we cannot take high risk in the financial aspect. So that's why if it is a low cost budget, any idea, so definitely we are having the freedom to go ahead and implement, and we can try to experiment always, try to see the result. Yes, definitely, we are for that. Always we try to experiment. That's how you can see how big kitchen it has come up. It's not that we have copied somewhere and replicated and pasted here. It's all completely depending upon our own experience. We have completely built up such a gravitational based concept based kitchen here in Hubli, and it's supposed to be the largest kitchen across the world as of now. Otherwise, if we didn't have, if our top management has not allowed us to think out of box, definitely this would have not come true.
We have another mechanism where we discuss with this top management and we pilot it around, and whatever necessary resources needed to that, if it is feasible, we raise it locally, demonstrate that it is going to work, then we try to scale things up, and that freedom is given to us by the senior management.
Scaling up can be done maintaining that value system. Like the program which I am running, the Deshpande Fellowship program, we have reached 200 alumni. But that what we call the DNA has been maintained so far. What we find is that local leadership is critical. For example, if we hire some of them who have done like from Premier Management Institute and start hiring and ask them to scale, it might not be a sustainable solution. That building that value system at the local leadership level is critical to scale it.
Let me give you an example of why US is looked at positive. In the US, the entrepreneurship is taken by people who actually has a kind of a pride, having my company, running company. And risk-taking ability is higher in the society. In India, most of the parents will look at, do you have a government job? Why? Because it remains till the end of your life. Because jobs were not there. So it took only last 15 years that we have a lot of growth in the jobs in IT sector, where very intellectual, high intellectual jobs are there, where people can actually take the risk and transform the society. So wait for a few more years. I'm sure parents will start saying to their kids, hey, why not take entrepreneurship instead of taking a job? Okay. But it will take time. Critical mass is required. Once critical mass is there, it will happen. Even my parents were not interested in me starting a company. Even at the age of 45, when I started at 40, I started a company. My father was saying, okay, you got a good job, good multinational company. You want to stay there in the US, stay. So they thought that because I'm coming to India and I'm going to start a company. So he said, stay in the US, no problem, we are okay with that, but don't start a company. So it's a mindset, but it will change. So today I'm seeing some of the kids who are starting the company. So I know we have an entrepreneur here who would have faced the problem because he had a multinational job. So I see he is far more courageous guy, I take a bigger risk, and has one of the pioneer member of transforming the society, because he had a good multinational job in an area which is in IT, and he decided to go to a startup and make a difference. So I would say he should say something now.
I was always fascinated about inventing things, creating something new, but convincing them about these was very difficult for me, because they always thought getting a government job was the ultimate thing for somebody. But for me, it was about creating something new which changed people's life was the ultimate thing for me. So the transformation from that person to this today has taken a lot of effort personally as well, and making them realize that what I do has transformed me as a person as well as the surroundings around me. So today they believe, yesterday when I showed them the article that I've been called in as a speaker here, my father really felt very proud. I mean, he said, yes, what you said was true. So I mean, that really gets them back to that point where they were saying that yeah, go to government jobs, go to, apply jobs elsewhere, go to IT industries. I mean, I was a star performer in my college. I was offered at 6 different places in various multinational companies, but still somehow I felt that I wanted to be a larger part of it in a small organization. I wanted to be a larger part, unlike a smaller part in a larger organization.
Sense of security when they do take risk, etc. But the sense of security is very high. Like you are taking the risk on someone else's money. So the sense of security is totally different, and they are more strategical in that way thinking. Where the entrepreneurship leadership is a sense of insecurity is very high. So sometimes I see that they become more tactical than strategist. So it's a different way of looking. The sense of urgency is very high in entrepreneur or leader slash, but the sense of urgency in corporate leader I have seen differently. So there are the clear-cut distinctions are there, though there is a blur line, but the two creatures are totally different. And if you have worked with the both of them, you can easily identify. There's a McKinsey and Goldman Sachs group of companies kind of people, corporate leader, where the other Vivek and other sort of people who roll the sleeve, take the whatever their philosophy, value, take challenge, and then keep persistently work. And somehow, sometimes star get aligned, so you can pay the salary. If star doesn't get aligned, probably they all go home.
In my career, I have come across certain situations when there will be lots of pressure to compromise with the ethics. I think as far as we are very clear on what we are doing, and as long as the organization stick on to what they want, working for the communities that they work for, I think there is no need. Let me tell you an example. We were trying to collectivize the communities of sex workers, injecting drug users, and sexual minorities at the state level. So I don't want to name the department. One of the bureaucrats said, "Why do you want to waste the time and the energy? There is government to take care. Why don't you halt the program that you are doing and transfer the fund for us?" So somehow this came to the communities itself. This information, what the bureaucrat said, reached the communities itself. They actually came together. They actually gave us the strength to work, to continue the work that we wanted to do. So we never compromised. Still the work is going on.
Entrepreneurs are made only because there is a alignment of values. I mean, I align my values to the organization values, so there is a like-mindedness between me and the entrepreneur. So that's when an entrepreneur is made. I mean, if I have to say, entrepreneurs are made when there is a space given for them to think, and an area to implement that, and also time to prove those ideas. So that's when an entrepreneur is made. So I don't feel there is a conflict of values. Ever will make a person entrepreneur.
I think values are very important. First of all, for the personal growth, that like we should have some values. But most of the time, what happens actually defining the value. What is the value that really going to take you up? And the organizational value, absolutely. This is not the like one person who has to decide. So in the case actually where I am working with the foundation, the Deshpande Foundation, so many times actually, so only two values actually that I follow, and personally I think it is very much matching to the foundation's value. That is one thing is like enjoy the work. That every time like I keep talking to my colleagues, let's enjoy. So it looks to my organization, to the even audience also, even the stakeholder also, wow, there is a fun. And whatever there is a fun, really something is coming out good. And the second thing is actually respect the people. So I think in the sector where we are working actually, we are working for the people. So very important actually, whatever we are doing actually, there should be a respect. So respect within the team, respect to the stakeholder, or respect to the family. That's what everybody expects. And I think so it has never contradicted actually within the work and with the family.
So as just Anup was also sharing, like the value system which we have and the organization, that is more important. So as I was sharing in my earlier this thing also, like the value system of the organization is first very important, and then like the work atmosphere or where we are working. And no doubt we have to do some compromises. Right now I'm not able to recall any of the examples like that. But what I will tell is, yeah, there are some examples where we need to compromise on our value system, but which was like, if it is good for the organization, yeah, definitely I would do it. If it is good for the organization, otherwise I won't do it. So that is my view.
No, the day I compromise, I should not have that entrepreneurship label in me. That's the observation. And as Naveen suggested, it's hard for an entrepreneur to work with the entrepreneur also. Oh, that we also have that binary trust level. There are a lot of times there will be a difference of opinion, and that's all fine. But we need to have that tenderness and that hardness. For as an entrepreneur, in my observation also, is very tricky thing to manage that.
Just to add, on the front of organizational value, whatever the organization's mission and vision and the values we have, there is no compromise on that. That's very clear. The second is in the team, for example, from personal value, as Ajay was mentioning, enjoying the work and really being, doing fun, doing really with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. This is the personal value I believe in. But when I talk to my team and when I see people in my team, we have 100+ people in the team, this value gets little diluted because everybody is not same. On that front, there is little compromise. And how can I bring the other person and how can I bring this value in the other person? There's a challenge. And then we sit across the table and work out. There is a dilution in this value.
No entrepreneurs in the organization, the growth doesn't happen. And for social organization, entrepreneurs are key to success. I think we looked at three or four, I would say, major points. One is foundational or fundamental alignment on vision, values, philosophy, trust. Second is on communication. We talked about it. Sangeeta talked about it. Open, continuous communication, transparency. And growth, where challenges are there for them to grow, experiment. Support is there. Guidance is there for the team and the company or the organization. And last but not least, there's a freedom. Freedom to take some risks, freedom to take decisions, and freedom to take ownership, basically, that they own it, that they actually feel the ownership and they drive success. So I would say a big hand and bow to all the entrepreneurs who have made this success.